Canada's secretive interest in Sweden's 88 Gripen fighters didn't emerge overnight. This story has been unfolding quietly behind the scenes, away from media noise and political speeches. While most people believe Canada already committed fully to the F-35 program, powerful signals suggest something deeper, something that points toward a parallel plan developing silently. The Gripen E, Sweden's most advanced fighter, is suddenly being mentioned in restricted defense circles, and insiders are hinting that Canada might be opening a backdoor option that no one expected. For years, the Canadian government tried to portray the F-35 acquisition as final and irreversible. But the reality is more complicated. Canada's Arctic is changing rapidly, Russian air activity is increasing, and Ottawa urgently needs a fighter with high endurance, low operating costs, and reliable performance in freezing conditions. The Gripen E is practically built for this environment. Unlike the F-35, it can operate from remote runways, icy strips, and dispersed bases, the exact conditions Canada deals with in the north. This is one reason analysts believe a second fighter evaluation has been quietly revived. Another element fueling the mystery is Sweden's unexpected diplomatic push. High-level Swedish defense officials have been visiting Canadian military facilities, not for ceremonial meetings, but for technical briefings. These visits were kept extremely low profile. Sources claim that Sweden offered Canada something it hasn't offered anyone else: a customized Arctic Gripen configuration with reinforced landing gear, powerful EW upgrades, and extended-range tanks suited for northern patrols. Such a package aligns perfectly with Canada's NORAD obligations. The secrecy isn't accidental. If Canada openly acknowledges that it's exploring an alternative fighter, it risks political backlash, contractual complexity, and diplomatic pressure from the US. The F-35 program is deeply tied to American geopolitics, and Washington expects its allies to stay committed. But Canada has always kept the option open to diversify its fleet if national security demands it. And right now, those demands are shifting faster than expected. Behind closed doors, defense planners are quietly running simulations comparing the Gripen E's performance in Arctic interception missions against the F-35. Early results reportedly show surprising outcomes, especially regarding operational readiness and sortie generation rates. Gripen's lower maintenance footprint means it can fly more missions with fewer resources, a crucial requirement for northern defense. This is why the 88 Gripen deal rumor isn't just a rumor anymore. It's a strategic fallback plan that Canada may activate if F-35 costs escalate further or if operational limitations in extreme cold become more serious. The question now is not whether Canada is exploring the Gripen option. It's how deep the discussions have already gone. What makes the situation even more intriguing is how silently Canada's defense agencies have shifted their focus toward long-term sustainability instead of headline purchases. The Gripen E's cost per flight hour is almost half that of the F-35, and this isn't a small detail. Canada's military budget has been under pressure for years. As Arctic operations become more demanding, financial sustainability becomes a critical factor. A fighter that can be maintained by smaller teams, uses less fuel, and requires simpler infrastructure naturally becomes more attractive. There are also reports that Canada has been studying Swedish-style dispersed operations, where fighters operate from highways, frozen stretches, and temporary snow-cleared areas. The F-35 simply cannot do this without massive logistical support. Gripen, on the other hand, was designed for quick turnarounds, rapid refueling, and fast rearming using minimal equipment. For Canada, which must protect 7,000 kilometers of Arctic coastline, this ability is a strategic advantage that is becoming impossible to ignore. The political side of this story is equally interesting. Sweden, now a NATO member, is pushing to strengthen its defense ties with North America. A potential Gripen sale to Canada would be a massive geopolitical win for Stockholm, a sign that its fighter jet industry can compete against the world's most powerful defense contractors. This makes Sweden eager to negotiate, offering Canada flexible pricing, technology sharing agreements, and even partial assembly options. Unlike the F-35 program, where everything is locked under strict US restrictions, Sweden is willing to tailor the deal. Canadian military pilots who have flown the Gripen simulator privately praised its cockpit visibility, quick response controls, and advanced electronic warfare features. These pilots understand that Arctic interceptions often depend more on reliability and situational awareness than pure stealth advantages. Gripen's Araxis EW suite is considered one of the most powerful non-classified systems in the world. and some insiders claim it outperforms anything available to Canada today. Another shadow in this secretive deal is the concern over the F-35's maintenance backlog. Several NATO countries, including Canada, have quietly expressed frustration over delays in spare parts, long repair times, and unpredictable sustainment costs. If these issues grow worse, Canada will need a backup plan, and the Gripen E stands as the only modern Western fighter that Canada hasn't fully rejected. The 88 aircraft number itself is not random. It matches the exact requirement Canada originally established for its next-generation fighter fleet. While the government publicly says all 88 will be F-35s, defense analysts believe a quiet contingency plan exists, splitting the fleet between high-end stealth fighters and low-cost, high-readiness jets. Gripen would fill the second role perfectly, ensuring the RCAF can maintain high sortie rates in the north without burning through its budget. Whether Canada will announce this openly is another story. For now, the discussions remain buried under layers of diplomatic language, unofficial meetings, and quiet technical exchanges. But everything points toward one undeniable reality. Canada is keeping the Gripen door wide open, and Sweden is more than ready to walk through it. Another layer of mystery surrounding Canada's potential 88 Gripen acquisition is the unusual pattern of defense procurement silence. Typically, when Canada evaluates or considers new equipment, there are leaks, committee discussions, or political debates. But this time, everything is locked down. Defense journalists have repeatedly complained that requests for information about fighter alternatives receive vague or delayed responses, especially when the term Gripen is mentioned. This level of secrecy only happens when something sensitive is under review. Insiders claim that the Royal Canadian Air Force conducted a series of undisclosed Arctic stress tests last winter. These tests reportedly compared the logistical footprint, cold weather readiness, and rapid deployment capabilities of various aircraft systems. While no official documentation has been released, whispers from within the testing team suggest that Gripen-compatible maintenance procedures were modeled due to their low infrastructure requirements. This implies the RCAF is preparing itself to integrate the Gripen system with minimal public attention. What's even more interesting is that Sweden has offered Canada access to highly classified operational data that it has never shared with any non-Scandinavian partner. This includes detailed performance metrics in snow-packed runways, rapid cold start procedures when temperatures drop below -35 degrees Celsius, and airborne interception statistics during electronic warfare heavy missions. Such data could only be offered if Sweden sees Canada as a near-future Gripen operator. There's also a financial angle Canada cannot ignore. Rising F-35 sustainment costs are becoming a worldwide concern. Multiple NATO countries are re-evaluating long-term budgets. Canada, already dealing with rising national defense spending pressures, must consider whether operating a fully stealth-only fleet is sustainable for decades. Gripen's affordability presents a strategic balance: a modern fighter that can fly more hours, require smaller crews, and reduce strain on maintenance facilities that are already stretched thin. The strategic advantage becomes clearer when examining Canada's geography. The Arctic is not just cold, it is unpredictable, isolated, and expensive to operate in. A fighter that can take off from remote snow-cleared strips with minimal support offers operational power that stealth alone cannot guarantee. This capability is the backbone of Sweden's defense doctrine, and Canada faces similar threats and terrain. Adopting Gripen would allow Canada to mirror Sweden's highly effective dispersed defense strategy. At the international level, Sweden's negotiations with Canada have reportedly included cooperative defense production options. One scenario being quietly discussed is final assembly of components in Canadian facilities, potentially revitalizing parts of Canada's declining aerospace manufacturing sector. If this becomes part of the deal, it could create thousands of jobs, something no government would reject lightly, especially when facing public pressure for domestic economic growth. Although the Canadian government continues to emphasize its F-35 commitment, evidence points to a shadow strategy emerging behind the scenes. With Arctic tensions rising, procurement budgets tightening, and operational demands increasing, Canada is preparing for a future where flexibility matters as much as stealth. And in that future, the Gripen E fits almost too perfectly. The question now isn't whether Gripen is being considered, it's whether the conversation is already far more advanced than anyone publicly admits. One of the most compelling clues that Canada's secret 88 Gripen deal may be more than speculation is the sudden increase in closed-door defense briefings between Swedish and Canadian officials. These meetings, conducted without public documentation, have focused heavily on long-term northern defense readiness. Furthermore, observers have noticed that several Canadian delegations recently visited Scandinavian air bases, where Gripen operations under extreme winter conditions were demonstrated in detail. These trips were never openly linked to any procurement program, yet the timing raises significant questions. Canada's Arctic defenses are becoming more critical each year. Melting ice has opened new strategic pathways, and global competitors like Russia and China are increasingly active near northern territories. Canada needs a high-availability fighter to maintain constant patrols across vast, empty regions. Gripen's ability to fly frequent missions with minimal wear and lower fuel usage makes it uniquely suited for exactly this kind of duty. The F-35, while technologically superior in stealth and deep strike roles, is not optimized for high-frequency Arctic patrols without substantial logistical support. The Royal Canadian Air Force has already identified maintenance staff shortages as a long-term threat to operational readiness. Fighter fleets require extensive manpower, and the F-35's advanced systems demand specialized technicians that Canada struggles to retain. Gripen, built around modular, easy-to-service components, can be maintained by teams with less training, reducing dependence on foreign contractors. This aligns with Canada's goal of increasing self-sufficiency in northern bases, where external support is not always possible. Another overlooked aspect is software sovereignty. Unlike the F-35, whose software and mission data files are tightly controlled by the United States, the Gripen offers Canada freedom to customize mission data libraries independently. This gives Canada full control over electronic warfare profiles, threat libraries, and weapon integrations. For a nation concerned about Arctic sovereignty and NORAD responsibilities, this level of independence is extremely valuable. Behind the scenes, defense analysts are also discussing the possibility of a mixed fleet strategy. In this scenario, Canada would retain the F-35 for stealth-specific missions while operating a second fleet of Gripen fighters for routine patrols, defensive interceptions, and training. This approach would dramatically reduce overall operating costs while increasing total sortie output. It mirrors strategies used by several major air forces that balance high-end and cost-effective aircraft. Sweden, aware of Canada's unique security needs, has reportedly offered an enhanced Gripen E package with cold-weather avionics improvements, advanced infrared sensors for long-range detection in polar darkness, and even a specialized Arctic camouflage scheme. Such detailed customization discussions suggest that Sweden is tailoring its offer specifically around Canada's vulnerabilities and strategic concerns. While no official confirmation exists, the pattern is becoming difficult to dismiss. Canada's defense leadership is quietly gathering every piece of information necessary to make a rapid shift should F-35 challenges intensify. Budget fluctuations, Arctic demands, and growing global instability all point toward a scenario where Canada cannot rely solely on one fighter. And though the government will not publicly acknowledge it, the Gripen appears to be emerging as the hidden insurance policy waiting behind the curtain. The final piece of the puzzle lies in Canada's long-term defense forecasting models. These classified projections evaluate not just the next decade, but the next 40 years of operations across the Arctic and North Atlantic. Sources familiar with the process say Canada's planners have quietly modeled multiple fleet compositions, and the Gripen repeatedly emerges as the most efficient option for sustained northern sovereignty patrols. This does not replace the F-35 but complements it, filling the operational gaps that stealth fighters were never designed to handle. Canada's northern infrastructure is aging and cannot support a purely F-35 dependent model without billions in additional upgrades. The F-35 requires specialized climate-controlled hangars, advanced power systems, and extensive runway maintenance. Gripen, designed for rugged environments, doesn't need such heavy infrastructure. It can operate from partially prepared runways, remote forward operating locations, and even temporary surfaces cleared by small engineering teams. This reduces the long-term financial burden on the Canadian government and allows rapid redeployment during emergencies. The industrial benefits of a potential Gripen partnership are equally significant. The Canadian aerospace industry has been searching for new opportunities as global competition increases. Sweden's offer reportedly includes joint development programs technology transfer, and domestic assembly opportunities. This could revitalize Canadian defense manufacturing, giving local companies long-term contracts and access to advanced propulsion, avionics, and electronic warfare technologies. For policymakers, this kind of economic boost is difficult to ignore, especially in regions where aerospace jobs have been declining. Another critical indicator is how Sweden has positioned itself within NATO after joining the alliance. Stockholm is eager to strengthen its role by deepening defense cooperation with allies beyond Europe. A Canadian Gripen fleet would not only reinforce transatlantic ties but also demonstrate that NATO's fighter landscape does not have to be dominated by a single platform. It would diversify the alliance's capabilities, create joint training programs, and increase interoperability in cold weather operations, an area where Sweden excels. Even within Canada's defense community, there is growing recognition that relying on a single fighter type carries risks. Mechanical issues, supply chain disruptions, geopolitical tensions, or unexpected technical problems could ground large portions of the fleet. A second aircraft type, especially one as reliable and low-cost as the Gripen, provides a safety net. This thinking has reportedly gained traction as some F-35 partners experience delays and rising sustainment costs. Ultimately, Canada's secret Gripen deal is not about replacing the F-35, nor is it a political move to challenge the United States. It is about securing strategic flexibility in a rapidly changing world where Arctic control is becoming more valuable than ever. Sweden's Gripen E offers Canada a unique combination of affordability, independence, cold weather strength, and operational stability, qualities that align perfectly with Canada's emerging defense challenges. Whether the Canadian government ever publicly announces these discussions remains uncertain, but the signs are unmistakable. Technical evaluations, diplomatic exchanges, industrial proposals, Arctic modeling, and strategic planning are all pointing toward the same conclusion. Canada is preparing for a future where the Gripen may quietly join its skies, an unspoken insurance policy waiting in the shadows, ready to take off the moment Canada needs it most.